Hello, I'm Dave Peach, and this is the Crawfordsville Peachcast, sponsored by Tri-County Bank, your community bank since 1892. See them in person or at tricountybank.net. Tri-County Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender. Crawfordsville Peachcast. We are presented by Tri-County Bank, your community bank since 1892. Also sponsored by Central Indiana Rubber Products, providing the power for you. Kurtis, let's say hello, Todd. Hello, Todd.
Yeah.
We're trying to be enthusiastic today. It's like minus 7 degrees this morning, -9.
Yep.
Wind chill, we don't even want to know what the wind chill is, but it's cold out there. Kurtis is here, Kurtis Broadstreet. He is the editor-in-chief of the Crawfordsville Peachcast, and we're happy that you're here today, Kurtis.
Yes, I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to be warm in this very quiet room, and I'm just happy to be alive. It's the absolute thrill,
I think one of the first episodes that you were the chief editor was our comedy.
Yes, it was. And it was a very interesting experience to be able to see behind the scenes, behind the madness.
It was our comedy show.
Yes.
And the reason why I remember it is that I kept calling you Kari. Kerry.
Yeah, because we both our names start with a K, so I understand that.
So I would call you Kari, because our guest on the show is Kari. You're Kurtis, right?
Mm-hmm, I believe so.
Kurtis.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the guest on that first show joining us again, Kari Jones, Kari. Kari, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Well, we are good. Have you ever heard a more scintillating introduction to a podcast in your years on this planet?
It's got my attention. I am ready. This is going to be a great show.
Yeah.
She is so kind. Now, a few months ago, you were here in Crawfordsville with Lee Harden and company. So give us an update. What's been happening in Kari's world?
Yeah, well, it's been a wild ride. That's what I keep telling everybody. We were in Crawfordsville in June. And then the summer's always kind of slow, but then in the fall, things picked right back up. I had a lot of shows on my own. I think I did 3 shows with Lee, and this year is already off to a huge start. Lee and I were in Munster, Indiana, just this past Friday with our friend Junebug Colson. She's another comedian, and we're all going to gather again together this Saturday in Powderly, Kentucky at the Merle Travis Music Center. So all 3 of us are doing a lot of independent things. We're doing things together. So we are off to a great start in 2024.
We are going to talk to you about your career, and we'll go back to how it started for you and how you are getting into the comedy scene big time. It is Kari Jones, a comedian. She's been here in Crawfordsville. Maybe we'll find out if she's coming back to Crawfordsville in the future. We'll have more coming up on the Crawfordsville Peachcast.
Bazing. Wow, that's fun to say. Bazing is Tri-County Bank's Smart Rewards checking account. With Bazing, you have cell phone protection, ID theft protection, roadside assistance, discounts at area businesses, and more. This is Bria French. Contact me or any of our great employees to begin your entry into Bazing banking. Terms and conditions may apply. Tri-County Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Crawfordsville Peachcast. We have Kurtis Broadstreet here in our office.
the studio, Dave. The studio.
It's a studio. The studio. You enjoyed the fabulous snack bar before.
Yes,
it's just
the green room, all the other guests.
It's fantastic. And also joining us, unfortunately, not part of this palatial estate here in our studio is Kari Jones, comedian. Kari, we talked about your appearing in Crawfordsville. We know that I think you're an Illinois native. And for those that did not hear the podcast a few months ago, give us your
Mhm.
comedic background.
So comedy is a new ball game for me. I've been doing this almost 2 years. In April, I will celebrate 2 years in stand-up comedy. I've always been in the performing arts. When I was 8 years old, I was on stage. We did church plays. I did plays in high school and all through my adulthood, working with community theaters, semi professional theaters. I toured with educational programs. I did children's theater. So performance has always been part of my DNA. It's always been something I've engaged in. But I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago where there were lots of opportunities for that. I moved to Mattoon, Illinois, about 8.5 years ago, and that's a much more rural area. So there weren't as many opportunities for art and creativity. So I realized that if I was going to use any of that creative energy, I was going to have to come up with something different and apply it differently. And I struggled with that for a little bit, and I've always loved stand-up comedy. I just never knew if it was something I would be able to do. But then I realized that I would have to be creating things on my own if I wanted to perform. In the midst of all of this, about 6.5 years ago, my father passed away. And I went through a period of grief and mourning, and I realized that I wasn't laughing, I wasn't finding anything funny, I wasn't creating. And then I went to a comedy show, and it was a John Christ show in Decatur, Illinois. And whatever it was about that night, I was able to let go. I laughed for a straight hour and a half. And at the end of that night, I just realized the power of comedy healing. And I thought, okay, this might be what I need to pursue. I see how healing it's been for me, and I want to share that with others. So an interest in pursuit of comedy was born.
Yeah, cool. So, taking you back to the very first, the very first primitive days of your career in comedy, what did that look like? What did it look like when you first stood on that stage?
Well, primitive is the right word. Because most comedians will start off at open mics and they'll try 2-3 minutes out at a time. I didn't have that luxury. So I had been writing all of this material and I had nowhere to put it. So in December of 2022, my sister rented out the American Legion as my Christmas present. And she said, we're renting it out. You pick the date. We're going to debut your comedy show. You're going to put everything that you've written so far on stage. Let's see how it goes. So when I stepped up on that stage, I was excited because here it was, this dream that I kind of played about for a couple of years. I was getting the opportunity to do it, but I was really, I mean, if I'm honest with myself now looking back, I did it completely backwards. And about 35 minutes into that set, I did like about 45 minutes that night. I looked out at the audience, and I won't say that I had a panic attack, but I had this moment where I'm like, I don't think they like me. I need to get off the stage. So I rammed through the last 10 minutes of my material, and I was terrified. And I'm like, I'm going to get off stage. These are all my friends and family members that came to see me. And they're going to feel awkward. They're not going to know what to say, but they loved it and they encouraged it. And they said, oh my gosh, I loved this joke. I thought this was so funny. I related to this. And I realized that it was really my own nerves getting to me and my own fear. But that night catapulted me, into making relationships with other comedians that would then help me with this process. So, it's been a wild ride. That first night on stage, I really didn't know really until I stepped foot off the stage that this might actually turn into something.
Well, that had to be a little bit scary up there. I know if you're not a broadcaster, but sometimes, in broadcasting, you're not sure exactly how how things are going. But sound like it really has worked out for you.
It has. It has. Shortly after my debut, I went to a conference in Indiana, um, and that's actually where I met Lee Harden. And we did an open mic there, so I actually got to perform in front of several other comedians. And I made some great relationships at that conference. They've invited me to be on their shows. They've invited me to be on their podcasts. We bounce ideas off of each other. We've built friendships with one another. And it was through that, that networking and that conference that I was really able to break out and do a lot more in that first year than I ever could have imagined.
Right. Yeah. So take us through like the journey so far. Like you're traveling across the country, going through these various mediums and markets, like through various stages. And
Yeah.
just beside that, what projects are you currently working on now?
So if we go back and kind of see how this all evolved, it actually it was almost a year ago today that Lee Harden had asked me to do a legit theater show.
Oh yeah.
So we did that show in Allister, Indiana. Yep. So we did that show, and then he kept in touch with me, and he encouraged me to get in touch with some of the local comedian bookers that would host, like they would book you to host for other comedians. So I worked with those local comedians in Central Illinois. So through that, I was able to get some local events, but with some rather big names, which was exciting. And then, Lee found this show for Crawfordsville. He invited me on that show. One of the things kind of behind the scenes is we've started promoting his shows together. So I help him promote his shows, whether I'm on them or not. And then, through that, I actually filmed my own, I'm going to call it a special. I didn't release it, but I knew that I was going to need quality video clips so that people could see what I do and decide to book me from that. So I did that last April, and I've got some quality video out there that I'm comfortable with that I can send to bookers. So I just started pounding the trail. Lee's kind of been a trailblazer there and going after these theaters and things like that. We've gone after some of those theaters together. So we're doing some of those theaters together, but I'm also breaking off and doing a few things on my own. Here in town, we don't really have much of a comedy scene, but we do have this large mall that has a few empty spaces. So I'm working with one of our retail developers there to see if we can start bringing comedy to this area, start doing open mics, start bringing in headliners. So I'm really fortunate that, as new as I am to this, there are people kind of coaching me along, showing me the ropes and showing me what I can do to develop what I hope will be the next phase of what I do in comedy.
Kari, I know you and Lee are committed to Clean Comedy Dry Bar specials that I think began in Utah.
That's correct. Yep. Dry Bar is filmed in Provo, Utah. Lee has 2 Dry Bar comedy specials. I'm rather new to the game. I don't have one, but obviously that's the aspiration. But it's clean comedy. And I'm when I went into this whole thing, I knew that I was going to perform clean or not perform at all. So I'm committed to that fully.
And going along with that, who have been your greatest influences as far as comedy goes?
So early on, I would say a lot of the sketch comedy, like Laugh-In, Saturday Night Live, Carol Burnett. I loved sketch comedy. I just thought it was brilliant. I thought it was so much fun. I thought it was just a really amazing expression. Some of the stand-up comedians that I grew up watching were Louis Anderson, Rita Rudner, Paula Poundstone. Then you get into Jim Gaffigan, Seinfeld, and more recently, Nate Bargatze, Ryan Hamilton. Those are some of the more recognizable names that I love their writing. I love their delivery. I love their point of view. So they've been a huge inspiration to me. And then there are some dry bar comedians that I really love to watch and learn from. Chad Thornsberry is one of them. He's really great. Rick Roberts is another. In fact, he used to teach a class out of Zanies in Nashville. And a lot of my friends started their comedy journey through him. So I was able to inspiration to me. And then a lot of my friends have dry bar specials. Haas Ridgway, Rhonda Corey, Dory McLemore, Clint Hall. Oh gosh, he's so funny. So these are all huge influences in my life. And I'm not only am I lucky enough to watch them on dry bar and see their style and watch how their talent develops, but I know them. Some of them I can call very close friends. And I think that also makes a difference in this journey, is that there's so many that I can just, at the drop of a hat, just say, hey, what's going on? How can I be supporting you? And they ask how they can support me. It's a great network. It's a great family. And we all provide a source of inspiration to each other on stage and off stage.
So going through those are a great list of names that you just listed off there. So going back to your influences, how would you say that has formed your techniques for writing your stand-up bits?
So what I found that I loved about each person that I've followed is their writing technique is very personal. So what I realized that when I started writing was I need to capitalize on the things that are unique to me, because I can't necessarily say that my writing styles are similar, but I've taken a cue from them to write about what's familiar to me and put that twist on it that only I can put on it. From a performance standpoint, probably the biggest influence on me is Carol Burnett, because the way she could speak in the silence and use facial expressions, I find myself, at least in terms of performance, I love to maybe take a pause and just express something with my face or a gesture. I find all of those techniques, things that I kind of put in my toolbox and pull out.
Kari, there is some intentionality and training to comedy. It's not just getting up there and ad-libbing.
It's not at all. Now, there are a lot of people that are great at crowd work and improv, and that's where you'll see some of that more ad-lib. And I mean, even in I'll call it scripted set, you may see some of that, but there's so much work behind the scenes. I mean, you do a 30-second joke, it might take you hours. So what you see on stage is just 45 minutes, but that could demonstrate a year of writing and fine-tuning. And it is technique. There are certain techniques, like something we call the callback, where you tell a joke, you get the punchline out, but then maybe 10 minutes later, you're telling another joke and you come back to that punchline again. So that's a callback. That's one of the techniques that people use. We talk about the misdirect, where we keep the audience moving in one direction and then we take a twist, and where they think the joke is going to land, we take a turn, and that's what gets the laugh. So there are all of these different techniques that you talk about in these classes. The setup is important. The premise of your joke is important, because that then is what produces that punchline. And that's the technique behind getting so many laughs a minute and keeping the audience engaged.
How can we find you on social media? Are you on Facebook or Instagram? How can we look and see who Kari Jones is?
Yeah, that's a great question. I hope everyone goes out to look for me. I am on Facebook and Instagram, and you can find me under Kari Jones, the comedian. And my first name is spelled a little bit different. It's Kari, last name Jones, the comedian, Comedienne, which is the feminine form of comedian. Yeah.
I like that.
A little twist. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got it. And how do they book you for a show?
Yeah. If someone can email me, or if they want to message me through either Facebook or Instagram, my email is Kari Jones, INC. So Kari Jones Inc. @gmail.com.
Now we'll go back to, some of your comedy revolves around your personal life and living with mom. Let's get some insight into that.
So, I am 44, and I live in Mattoon, Illinois, with my mother. I've never been married. I don't have any kids, so I live with my mom, and she's also kind of my roadie. She goes to most of my shows with me, and so we just travel. We do these shows together. A lot of my jokes are gentle roasts of my mother, but she wouldn't have it any other way. She loves it. In fact, she tells me all the time that I need to write more jokes about her. So that's probably some source of inspiration later down the road. But I joke a lot about what that's like, because that's, like I said before, you always capitalize on what's unique to you. That's certainly unique to me, and something that not everyone experiences. One of the more recent topics that I've been exploring is, I'm 44, she's 74, and she's aging very gracefully. She's very young at heart and spunky, but there are certain things that I find that I'm almost a parent and she's almost the child, and it's very comical. I feel like I'm raising a teenage daughter. So I've been exploring that a little bit and putting those concepts on stage. So that's definitely a big part of my comedy. And she is one of the funniest people that I've ever known. So I think some of that comes through as well. And I think if people saw me next to my mom and then saw me on stage, they'd realize that even though my mom's not on stage, I'm personifying her in a certain way. They could definitely see who my mom is through me.
So like, what kind of events / venues are ideal for your clean comedy act? Like, what kind of audience are you going for?
So the beauty of clean comedy is that I can go anywhere. I can do the theaters, and a lot of theaters are in the theaters that we're seeking out are kind of in smaller communities where they want something that people of all ages can go see. So some of these smaller theaters and smaller community theaters are great. I've got a few church events that I've done because I can perform clean. There's no danger in the content or the verbiage used. Corporate clients are great because I am in the corporate world. Obviously I haven't made the switch to full-time comedy yet. So I can definitely relate to a corporate crowd, and I can tailor an event for them where, again, they don't have to worry about someone bringing content that's not work appropriate. So really, I'm very versatile, and anyone that's looking for comedy that can be enjoyed by anyone should look me up.
Sounds good. Now, have you ever said no to a gig?
I have not ever said no to a gig.
It's on your list of questions, Kari, so I asked. It's not a trap.
It is. So I think I remember that question now and why I put that on there. So what I've learned is that you don't necessarily have to say no to a gig, but you do have to set expectations. I've been asked to do a particular gig outside, and they wanted me to do comedy, but the event was more of a fundraiser. It was outside. And I said, well, do you need an MC? Because maybe my talents would lend better as an MC. And so we did that. We went that route. And then I was able to engage with the audience and kind of joke around with the audience a little bit. And that was better suited for that event. So I've not had to say no, but I have had to have the right discussion with people booking me and saying, okay, what is it that you really want for this event? I want to help. I want to be involved, but maybe it's not stand up. Maybe I can be your host. Maybe I can MC. That might be a better fit for what you're looking for. And that's worked out really well.
You seem like the nicest person in the world. Do you ever, I mean, do you ever, like somebody asks you maybe a different question, or, you're like, somebody like, I don't know, do Do you ever do the kids say roast? Is that do you ever
Sometimes that's more 2015, but it's
okay? I'm sorry. I mean,
it's starting to get back
okay.
into it's starting to get back into the mix.
Do you ever talk back to the television at least?
Oh goodness. I have a tendency to be very snarky. So of course, I try to be very nice and polite and diplomatic, but everybody has something that irritates them, and I am not exempt from that. So there's definitely a snarky side to me. I don't get angry very often. You have to really, really push my buttons and do something wrong to get me angry. But yeah, I've got a snarky side. I can be very sarcastic. But ultimately, I try to be a happy, joyful person. And apparently people see that because you commented on it.
Yeah, don't let us drag you down. I'm just kidding. Here we go. We got. We're good. Hey, let's.
I won't. I'll stay positive.
Please stay positive. Stay positive. We want you there. But Kari, perfect world. What is going on in your career in 2 or 3 years?
Okay, so 2024 is the year that I really drive down a headlining set. I do headline now, but I really want to focus in and get that really, really solid, because then I can film more. And then into 25 and 26, my goal is, to do a televised special, whether it be the ultimate goal is Dry Bar. But there are other opportunities to do that on Amazon. There are other comedians that are starting to do showcases that they're filming. So really the goal is to be prepared for those kinds of specials and to network, and just to develop other comedians as well. I want to do for other comedians what the comedians I know now have done for me.
And Kari, do you think you might be coming back to Crawfordsville in the next year or so?
I certainly hope so, because I loved my time there. So I would love to get back in touch with the Sugar Creek Players, the Vanity Theater, and see if there's an opportunity there. They were so gracious to us. It was a fun venue to work in. So I guess the answer to that is stay tuned. Nothing in the works yet, but I would love to have that conversation with them.
Kari, how were your holidays? I'm sorry, I'm going to ask another question. How were your holidays?
They were great. They were great. Christmas was fun. It's just me, my mom, and my sister. So we had a blast. And then over New Year's weekend, I got to close the year performing comedy. So that was a lot of fun. There's a nearby venue called Yellow & Company Events. I want to give them a shout out. They're phenomenal. They're in Mahomet, Illinois, and they're bringing in some amazing headliners. And I had the opportunity to open for Leslie Mitchell, who's kind of a Midwest comic, but she's won a ton of awards. So I got to open for her and spend my New Year's at Yellow & Company Events.
Central Indiana Rubber Products, locally owned for over 40 years. Central Indiana Rubber Products is customer focused and offers commercial custom hose, gaskets, belts, seals, and O-rings, among a variety of other products and services. Central Indiana Rubber Products is a dedicated supplier of banjo valve products, spill absorbents, hoses, gaskets, and belts. Central Indiana Rubber Products, 989 West 83 North in Crawfordsville, and at indianarubber.com.
Crawfordsville Peachcast, Dave Peach and Kurtis Broadstreet. Kurtis, Kari Jones is so nice.
She is very nice. Yeah. She is so nice. She is it's very very cool and very eye-opening to be able to talk to a comedian and see the amount of experiences that they've went through and how they have managed to get themselves this far. And going into the future, it sounds like she's really got her work cut out for her. So it's gonna be it'll be very cool to see her grow and continue her journey as she goes across the country with the Clean Comedian Troupe.
And she just is so precise,
right,
in the preparation and learning And, when you talk to Kari, you realize that, like so many things, being a comedian, it's a craft.
It is, yes. It's very like just getting up on that stage, and seeing all these people. They come to see you and to see what you have to like, because everyone has stuff going on in their lives, and and they want to be able to just watch this person and then just let all of their worries just be put into this new this medium. So yeah, I'm very excited to see where she goes from here.
Seems to be continuing to just kind of advance, and I think we'll see great things from Kari Jones. Hopefully, we'll see her here in West Central Indiana coming up. It's not like broadcasting when you grab the script as you're walking into the studio, right?
Right, for the most part, yeah.
I can imagine.
March along.
Hey, people, how you doing? I don't have any clue of what I'm going to talk about here for the next 20 minutes, but it's a little different in the radio world,
right?
It's not like they're there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's completely different, and that's what
you're not by yourself in the middle of a studio.
Yeah, I mean we're able to kind of breathe.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Well, we'll come up with
we'll cut that out. Yeah,
something maybe we'll pop into our mind. But when you're a comedian, you gotta have it going.
Yeah,
gotta have it going. But again, Kari, all the best, and hopefully get Kari and Lee on the show coming up on the Crawfordsville Pete's Cast. We've got some great episodes. You'll hear Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. Well, actually, baseball Hall of Fame announcer Marty Brenneman. We'll hear Jeff Brantley as we meet some of the Reds and talk to some of the broadcasters and officials with the Reds coming up. And we'll have a movie, another Untoasted Meteor with Sean Connery. Sean, how do you say that?
Connery, I believe.
Connery.
Yeah,
Sean Connery. Yes, Sean Connery. I've heard of him. He was in some Bond movies,
Yes, I believe I heard of him too, yes.
Yeah, I don't know in 1979 if he had another Bond movie in.
I'm not sure if they went to like because he was James Bond for a long time.
Yeah.
I forget because I know there's Pierce, there's of course Craig. There's some other ones I forget. I'm sorry for all the.
No, you're good. You don't have to look it up. But I would say
for all the Bondies out there, I forgot what the other ones are. But yeah,
in the Meteor, he's got a mustache. And it would rival Burt Reynolds or maybe not Tom Selleck, but it would rival Burt Reynolds' mustache. It was a good one.
Are you? Wow. Is it really like a very thick
No, firefighter? It's refined and it's very pointy and it's kind of like it's
gotcha.
very nice.
It's more
nice.
It's more or sharp.
Yes. And we'll talk about it on Meteor Day here on the Crawfordsville Pete's Cast. But again, want to thank our sponsor, Tri-County Bank, your community bank since 1892, and Central Indiana Rubber, providing power for you. 1, 2, 3. Hello, Todd. Like, share, subscribe. The Crawfordsville Pete's Cast. Good night, everybody. You've been a wonderful audience. Thanks for listening to the Crawfordsville Pete's Cast, sponsored by Tri-County Bank, your community bank since 1892. Tri-County Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender. I'm Dave Peach. Join us every Thursday for a new episode on Apple or Spotify. Please like, subscribe, and download the Crawfordsville Pete's Cast. This podcast was produced and edited by Up There Media and is a presentation of Fork Broadcasting Digital.